Aaron Giles. Welcome back to Tech Talk with Daniel Albu.
Happy to be back. This is what, our fourth time now?
Yeah. It's our fourth time talking, and it's the fourth version of Dream, so it aligns perfectly.
Well, it's always nice to come on and talk about all the new features that are coming up and show the new games off. I think there'll be some interesting ones this time that a lot of people haven't seen.
Yeah. First of all, congratulations on Dream 4. I know it's not out yet officially. It all depends on when this conversation is going to be published, but it's not out officially. It's currently in beta 24, right?
Yes, it's the never-ending beta cycle. I actually hope to have it done more in September, October timeframe, but I keep finding excuses to put it off. And since I'm not under any deadlines to release it for Christmas or any other company-related deadlines, I'm sort of taking advantage of that and just releasing it when I think it's ready. And so I'm hoping to slip in one more big surprise before the end of the release, which unfortunately was not ready for this recording, but hopefully by the time the recording's done, 4.0 will be out, and then you will know what that surprise is.
Do you accept requests for games
for games? Oh, that's not what a surprise. That's not the kind of surprise I'm talking about. So,
gotcha.
The surprise is not a new game that is not here. It's a different kind of surprise.
Gotcha. So, what was your main goal for this version of Dream?
So, prior to this version, I had covered all the DOS games. The 3.0, the goal was to cover all the DOS games that Lucasfilm / LucasArts ever released. And then I started doing more and more Windows games as a 3.0. So the goal was to reach the year 2000 with 4.0. I said, let's get all the LucasArts releases prior to the year 2000 under my belt. So that's what it started off as. And so that included stuff like, Rogue Squadron and X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, X-Wing Alliance and Rebellion and a couple of other, they're all Star Wars games. So at this point, Lucas really shifts gears to kind of be mostly Star Wars focused because Episode 1's on the horizon at this time. Comes out in 99, of course. And so the companies, they've released a few successful Star Wars titles. They're realizing that, hey, it's making a lot of money. And that's a good way to move forward. And so George, I think, also wanted to have a big, release of games styled along the lines of Episode 1. So that's sort of the big push that happened there. So it's a lot of Star Wars games. And then around that time, shortly before before the time period, last version of Dream, I emulated Mortimer and the Riddles of the Medallion, which is a kid's game. And I don't know that was like super successful, but there was a desire in the company to kind of switch and have a group focused on doing games for kids. And so they actually spun off into a separate subsidiary called Lucas Learning, and was housed in the same building as LucasArts. And in fact, there was a decent amount of crossover. I think all the music folks were contracted to work with both LucasArts and Lucas Learning. And they put out 8 games for Windows in that time frame up until like just after the year 2000. And so I said, well, maybe I could just get all 8 of those games supported in Dream as well. So that extends me a little bit beyond 2000, but I tried real hard not to include any LucasArts games beyond 2000 because that's a whole different set of things. And so that kind of became my secondary goal, was to get the catalog of Lucas Learning games. A lot of those games are hard to get running these days, or they're more obscure. And they were really, like Mortimer is really hard to get running on anything except a real Windows 95 system. And I think similar problems existed with some of the other Lucas Learning games. And some of them are actually hybrid Mac Windows games, which I didn't even realize until I started looking into them. There's a single CD that you could put into a Mac or a PC, and it was formatted in such a way that you could run the Mac version or the PC version. So anyway, that was kind of became my secondary focus. And then beyond the new games, it was really, I kind of wanted to support network play, because that was like one of the big holes. Like, in the last version, I supported Outlaws and Jedi Knight, and those were the first LucasArts games that supported network play. And I'd actually worked on Outlaws network play as a developer back in the day, so that was sort of I had a little bit of experience to know just a little bit what I was getting into. And so I kind of wanted to do that. And so I did spend a good amount of time on 4.0 trying to get network play working on all the games that supported it. And I will say that was a lot of work, and it's really hard to get people to test it because you have to pretty much be on a LAN to make it work with somebody else who's also running it and is willing to endure bugs or other glitches that might happen when you're doing it. And that's the last thing you want to do is you invite your friend over and you're playing a game and you want any unsteadiness. And so I for the 4.0 release, I'm going to still call it an experimental feature. It works on my machine. I can get multiple machines on my local home network to connect and sort of play, but I'm controlling them independently. I'm not really stressing them out at all. But that was one of the other major things I wanted to get in was network play, just so I felt like the support for the games was complete. I didn't really feel like Outlaws support was complete until you could actually play network. Now, there are some services out there that I've heard some people who do play Outlaws on the internet actually use. There you can basically you sign up to a service and you get put on a network, you install some software, and it's sort of like a VPN almost, that puts you on the same LAN, virtual LAN, as other people who are actually across the internet. And I've been able to get a couple connections going that way, but again, it was just kind of hard to corral people to try that out. And I wasn't sure if problems were caused by the fact that we weren't really on a LAN versus problems that were due to bugs in DREAMM. So that was sort of a big thing for me to get that working. And then there was just a lot of other features that anytime I saw something neat that came out that I wanted to support, I was like, oh, let's do that. Like, for example, there's roll-in sound canvas support in DREAMM 4.0, which means that if you have the proper ROM files, you can use an emulated roll-in sound canvas as your MIDI device, which generally sounds a lot better than most other options that you have for playback, unless you route DREAMM's MIDI out to a real MIDI device. And so now that's just all built in, and that was thanks to the work of John Novak, who was one of the DOSBox staging developers. He created a plugin that wrapped another emulator that emulates the roll-in sound canvas that was written by Nuki KT, who's a developer who's done a lot of serious reverse engineering of early sound chips and stuff like that. And so through that chain of events, that thing became available in DOSBox staging, and because it was done as a plugin, John Novak was happy for me to just sort of treat his work as something I could also load in DREAMM and make it work there as well. So I support roll-in sound canvas emulation.
And I also saw in the release notes that Windows builds now use DirectX 11 for rendering. Why'd you move to DirectX 11? How does that help run the late 90s games?
So it doesn't really. So all the 3D games in DREAMM are rendered in software. So basically, it's my own rendering engine that's drawing the actual pixels on the screen. The use of Direct 3D or OpenGL is merely just a means of taking the final screen and putting it on your hardware screen with some, monitor CRT effects or other effects that you want to make it look like an old school CRT or whatever. So it's basically the only thing I actually use OpenGL or Direct 3D for on your hardware system is to scale the output to the final window size or the final screen. And the reason for that is software 3. I've written several software 3D engines. I find it kind of an interesting thing to do, and it also gives me perfect control over exactly how the pixels are drawn. I don't have to worry about synchronizing with drawing, which may be when you draw using Direct 3D, you say, here, draw this triangle, and it goes off and does it, but you're not waiting for that to happen. So just synchronizing with what the hardware is doing can be tricky for some games that might do weird things with the hardware. The reason I added Direct 3D support in DREAMM this version is because it always bothered me that I was relying on OpenGL. Not every graphics card on Windows has great OpenGL support. I actually got reports from a few people that it kind of ran crappy on their system. It went through some emulation layer or something to do that. And since Direct 3D is the native, lingua franca for hardware on Windows, I wanted to make sure that was an option, so I didn't feel like I was necessarily at risk of going through a translation layer. In theory, they should be identical results. I basically had to rewrite all my pixel shaders for CRT filtering and other things like that from OpenGL's shader language into Direct 3D shader language, but they're roughly equivalent. I mean, you can pretty much, they all translate down into the hardware as instructions for the pixel shader on your hardware, and so it doesn't really matter what language you're talking as long as it produces the same final result. And so I think in the end it works just as well, but I just feel better having native Direct 3D support, just because I feel like there's less risk of it being a problem for certain graphics cards that don't have great OpenGL support.
So bottom line, it's not translating any old DirectX calls to modern DirectX, right?
No. An old DirectX call translates into my software engine, which then draws the triangles 1 pixel at a time in software on your system. Just goes to show you how fast modern systems are. You can crank the resolutions up, and on most modern systems, they all still, can hit 60 frames per second pretty easily, in my opinion. Especially on Macs. If you're a Mac person, those new for some reason the Macs just eat up the emulation like crazy. I always get, if I get any bug reports about a game having speed issues, it's from a Mac user who's running on the latest, M5 or something like that, and they've run it, and I've never had the emulation running that fast before, and it's revealing problems because I don't know what it is about the Apple Silicon, but it just eats up emulation like nobody's business. So it's great.
And how did you implement the Roland Sound Canvas SC55 into Dream?
So like I said, I just took the plugin that John Novak developed for DOSBox staging, which was based on the Nuki KT engine, and I just loaded it into Dream, kind of like a Photoshop plugin. There's kind of that sort of a plugin. So I just kind of load that same plugin into Dream dynamically when you start up, and if it's available and you have the necessary ROM files, then it becomes an option when you configure your MIDI devices.
Let's go over a few of the main features that have been updated for this version of Dream.
Okay. So, a couple of the big features here is I've kind of simplified the interface. The past versions had a couple of giant buttons with text saying configure and blah, blah, blah. And I really just wanted to focus on, most of the time you just want to launch a game. So you get the same carousel of games like you did in the previous versions, but all the settings and other things are now hidden in this little gear menu in the top left corner, which lets you configure various things. There's a few interesting new features. If you go to the global game settings option, there's a couple of interesting features in there. Here you can select which renderer you use. So you can choose Direct3D 11 or OpenGL or SDL internal, which is, I use SDL as my base video layer, and it doesn't have as many features, but it's usually more compatible than talking to Direct3D directly if I need a fallback. So I keep that as an option. Mm-hmm. Under the protection option, you can see now there's 3 options there. In the past version, so like if it came up and said, hey, you turn to page 5 in your manual and give me the first word, Dream would tell you what that was so you can type it in. And now with this version in 4.0, I will actually automatically solve that for you. You'll either move the mouse and click on the items or type the text for you, and then you don't actually have to do that. And it mostly works pretty well. There's some cases where it's not 100%, but it still displays the answer. So if I fail to do it, you can try it again and try to get it yourself. But most of the time, it works pretty well.
You're using sort of macro to solve the copy protection?
Basically, I have a script. I have a scripting engine that I built inside Dream now, and allows me to do a bunch of things that require a little more logic. And once I built that, I realized that I could automate the copy protection to a ridiculous degree. And so now I do the ridiculous thing, which is to just do it for you.
And so you find the object on screen dynamically, or did you implement all of those, the X and Y axis of everything on screen?
Yeah, so Dream actually scrapes the screen. So it's doing what you're doing. It's looking at the screen pixels that are generated and saying, oh, this looks like the copy protection screen. And then it actually scans the text by reading the pixels out and matching them against an internal database of fonts. And it says, oh, it wants page 5 and here, and now I can look that up. And that's the way I've done it since the beginning. But the new version does the automated aspect, which was
that's
useful.
Super badass.
And then network host is basically a lot of, because I have network support in the games now, it depends on which, you may have multiple network adapters on your system or even virtual network adapters, and you need to select which one Dream is going to treat as your hosting network. And so you can select that here in the global game settings. So that's a new setting that you wouldn't have seen before.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the main changes in the global game settings. And then if you click out of that, and then under the gear menu again, if you go to default game configuration, this is something that's actually quite useful. So in previous versions of Dream, while you're running, you can change the scaling effect, or whether you want aspect ratio correction or not, or whether you're in windowed mode or whatever. And you could change them in each game, and it would remember it for each game, but there was no way to say, here's my default settings. Like when I load up a new game, or if I haven't touched the settings within the game, how do I want it to behave? And so here, you can now, select, like if you go to scaling effect, you can select that you want, CRT simulated scaling as your default. And so every game that you launch from then on will use the CRT scaling effect unless you override it within the game. And it also lets you select what your Roland MT32 and GMIDI output defaults are. So here, there's a bunch of Dream supports all the different versions of MT32 and the Roland SC55, which is the sound canvas. SC is for sound canvas.
So I need to choose the SC55 now that I installed it?
Well, no. So for MT32, which is the Roland MT32, you want the MT32 emulator. So one of those is good. I think the CM32 LN is supposed to be the best option, but I mean, there's a bunch of different ROMs out there. So I actually had to install all the ROMs up front, so that's why you're seeing every single version. But if you have one set of ROMs for that, for any version of the MT32 or Sound Canvas that are known, if you drag them into Dream and install them, then it will be able to use that in the emulation. So it's nice to be able to set those settings there. And in fact, if you go into the gear menu again, if you go to manage sound fonts and ROMs, basically you can go to this screen, and then if you have the sound fonts, or if you have sound fonts you want to install, you can use those. Or if you have the ROMs for the MT32 or the Sound Canvas, you can just drag them onto this screen, and Dream will detect them and put them in the right spot and make them available. Another feature on this screen that I wanted to talk about is in the menu right next to the gear, the filter menu. You can actually filter games by a category, whether they're network enabled or by company. And so if you just want to see like the old Lucasfilm games, you can check that box, and it'll reduce the list of games down to just those, and those are all the old Lucasfilm games. And then you can select which ones you want, what style of games you want, if you just want adventure games or puzzle games.
And you also get larger thumbnails in case.
Yeah, the fewer games you have, you get bigger icons. And the icons I also want to mention, those are all new as well. If you compare to previous versions, they have a very consistent look.
They're high quality.
Yes.
I noticed, for example,
I got rid of the programmer
Indiana Jones
art.
and the Fate of Atlantis. That's not from the cover art. You have the background, I know, of the original photo of Harrison Ford, right?
Yeah, I'm guessing so. I didn't actually do the icons this time. I actually got in contact with a gentleman who goes online by the handle Laserschwert. He's done a lot of
awesome.
He's done a lot of like recreations of covers. He takes cover scans and like cleans them up and makes them really nice. He's done soundtrack tweaks, like taking existing soundtracks and improving them and stuff like that. So he's a huge LucasArts fan, and I just thought with his graphic design skills, maybe he could help me out. And he was super generous, came up with this icon style, which is sort of the ellipse with things popping out, because I told him I like icons that pop out beyond their boundaries. So we kind of use that as a style. So now they all kind of have this basic ellipse shape, but with and they're all based on cover art or other artwork that's there. So
next
I think
up,
the icons look
maybe
great.
he can upscale all of the in-game graphics that you use for the background over here.
Yeah, I'd like to improve those as well, but I have other ideas for that. So hopefully I'll be able to do that in the future as well.
So you can check out all of his posters, all these recreated posters on posters.mixedmojo.com.
Oh yeah, that's where he puts them all.
Yeah, and I think Limited Run Games used some of them for the special editions of the LucasArts games. So that's why they look so nice.
Yeah. So yeah, that's most of the features in the front end. I guess the other thing that I should show you is when we go to click into a game, if you pick a game and click into it, then you'll see that I've simplified this interface as well. Warnings are shown. I used to have a screen when you first clicked on the game. The main thing it would show you is the warnings, and most of the time I would just say, yeah, this game's great, works great. And I thought, well, that was kind of a waste. What people mostly want to do is configure the game, and so now the configuration options are always shown at the bottom. And if there are warnings, there's a little icon that shows up there. You can click on that to view the warnings.
So this game version is not recognized by Dream, but on the other hand, you recognize it perfectly with version number and everything.
So I recognize it as basically that version, but there's some changes. So I think the version that because you only told me about the Hebrew version of Loom in the first place, and I think the version that you have has the copy protection removed. And so I think that the executable is actually hacked to support that, or the scripts are hacked to support that. And I think that because the copy protection was actually translated to Hebrew, I believe that the official version was shipped with the copy protection intact. And so therefore, I consider the one that has the Hebrew hacked out, that has the copy protection hacked out to be not official. And that's why you get the warning. So here's, you got one that does match.
True. Yeah.
That does have the copy.
Wow. So let's say a game has this warning.
Mm-hmm.
What can happen? The game might not run, or
it just
crash.
means it's never been tested. A lot of times when you see that message, it's because there's a corrupt version out there. So a lot of people like go to archive.org and they find some CD dump that some random user did, and they download it and they think that that's a way to install the game. But then they find that it's a corrupt disk. Like the guy who read the original, who made the CD image, may have had some corruption on his disk. There's actually some corrupt games that shipped that way. So, for example, Outlaws 2.0 CDs that actually shipped. One of the movie files has like 25 megabytes of all zero data in it, and they shipped it that way for like multiple CD versions. Mm-hmm. So you might see that warning there, just because that game, when you run that movie, it may abort out early or crash. Hopefully, it doesn't crash. Vince Lee, when he wrote Insane, he was pretty worried about CDs producing corrupt data, and so his engine's pretty robust against. Usually, it'll just crap out. The movie will just stop early or something when it starts to hit data that it looks corrupted. So you may get that warning for there. But there are some games that actually have other warnings. For example, games where you have to manually switch CDs. I don't know if you have like Grim Fandango installed or anything like that. I have
Escape from Monkey Island.
That one you don't have to switch CDs for. Okay, but there's a couple games where you have to manually switch CDs, and if you had one of those installed, the
machine.
Nope, that one works too. You can just copy all the files together, and it doesn't care if you switch CDs. Outlaws, you don't have to switch either. Yeah,
Rebel Assault had 2 CDs.
Yeah, but again, if you put all the files together, it'll just play it. Like if you had one giant DVD that had everything on it, it would just play without switching CDs. Okay. Most games will work like that. Yeah, never mind. So I'm trying to think of other examples. There are some games, like if you install the first version of Escape from Monkey Island and don't install the update, then it'll give you the warning that you should download the patch from LucasArts and install that.
That's why I have the update, because I got the warning last time we demoed the game.
Well, see, it made you do the right thing.
And this version of Dream also has the improved controller support. What can you share about?
Oh, yeah. If you go to the gear menu, you can go test controller mapping. I don't know if you have anything installed. You don't have any installed. Nah. But if you had a joystick connected, it would show you the joystick, and it would show you what Dream detected it as. And Dream uses a so SDL, which is the library I use to talk to your system. Has 2 ways of talking to your system. One is to use the joystick interface, which is what I was using before. One is to use a different interface called Game Controller, which is more suited to modern game controllers. It sort of is designed around you've got 2 analog joysticks and a D-pad and a bunch of buttons. And it tries to map most controllers into that model. And I think I try to use that if it's available. And if it's not available for your controllers, then I fall back and use the old joystick settings. And it seems from what I've been hearing that produces a more pleasing result for most people. And so I've kind of switched over to using that as the primary interface. It's just basically 2 different ways of querying and talking to your joysticks. And I try to pick the one that seems to have the broadest support. So I've done that now. So hopefully people will be happy with it. And having the controller mapping helps me when people say my joystick's not responding correctly. I can say, well, load it up in the controller mapping and tell me what it's showing you as you move your joysticks. Which axis is it telling you this is mapped to, and what am I seeing all your buttons and that kind of thing.
Another thing that's supported is files can be dragged into the app window, and they'll be extracted and installed.
Yeah, just like zip files. So 7-zip or .7z files are commonly used just because they compress a lot better than zip in most cases. The problem is that they're slow. So with zip, it's relatively quick to decompress, and I've actually written some of my own logic to handle the zip files. Whereas for 7-zip, it's a more complicated format, and a lot of times the files are compressed in a solid archive, which basically means that the files are put together in one giant collection and compressed all in one big go. And so if you put similar files next to each other, then one file can depend on the contents of the previous file, and that gives better compression. But the problem is that to get any one file off that archive, you have to unzip the entire thing to get at that one file, because it may depend on all the files that were previous to it in the archive. And so, and also the library itself just isn't as well optimized. And so, you can use it. I don't recommend it in general, but it was a request from several folks to do it, and it wasn't too hard to get that working. DREAMM also supports 4.0, also supports a bunch of new install shield formats as well, kind of under the covers. So this means you have to run the installers less. So in previous versions, to install like certain demos, that like Outlaws demos and stuff, you had to DREAMM would open a window and actually run the Windows demo and have it run the install shield installer and decompress the files into the thing, and that would scrape the resulting files to find the ones that it needed for running Outlaws demos. Nowadays, most of the demos, I'll just read the install shield archives directly, pull those files out without having to run the installer, and so that sort of saves a step, makes it a little more robust.
So it's very similar to how the automatic copy protection works. You just see the DREAMM running through the screens of the installer itself without you having to do anything?
Well, that was already supported in 3.0 and also continues in 4.0. But now with the install shield support, I actually can crack the archives without even running the original installer program. I can actually just read the data directly out of the files, and so it's like you were installing it from a CD image or something like that. It just won't even run any code of the original game installer to extract the files.
But the installers are so beautiful.
It's true, you do miss out on some of the artwork that's running during the install.
I mean, it's a downgrade. And did you have to, with all of these new features, did you have to change the minimum requirements for DREAMM, or are they still the same as on DREAMM 3.0?
Yeah, I didn't. It should run just as well. And on some systems, I know it runs a little bit better because of the direct 3D support. I have heard it from a couple of people who had laptops with kind of esoteric graphics systems that didn't have great OpenGL support, that it definitely runs better on those systems than previous versions. But the basic requirements haven't changed.
And which platform do you test at home?
Oh,
most of the time.
I'm still a Windows guy, but I do test on the Mac. But the Mac is annoyingly different enough that it frustrates me. I'm sure if I switched over to the Mac full time, I'd get used to them. But right now, all the differences are just annoyances. So I find it kind of annoying to have to use the Mac.
Well, these are Windows games, the games you added.
Yeah. But because I emulate, it's kind of weird to emulate Windows on Windows, because, when you're compiling your program, if I create a function that's got the same name as the Windows function, then it can get confused. I have to make sure I'm not calling the real Windows function, that I'm calling the emulated version of the Windows function when I'm calling things. So I had to tweak all the names of everything. But the Mac is a good test for that, because it doesn't have any of those problems. It makes sure that everything's still running in the emulator.
You said that Outlaws has network support now, which is an upgrade to the previous version of DREAMM, which only had support for the single player game. But are there other benefits to older games that were already supported? The point and click adventure games, or have things been updated there?
A few small under the covers changes that I don't know that are really that user visible. I had to change the way, for example, some of the games I had previously had a system to detect how the mouse is integrated, so that when you move the mouse outside of the borders of the emulated window, it would go onto your host screen rather than capturing the mouse like some emulators do. And I had to change the way that worked, and I think the new way is a little more reliable. I used to have some problems where, like, some of the talkie versions of Sam & Max, they wouldn't detect the mouse properly, and it would get stuck in this weird state. So I fixed that. Auto copy protection is kind of a nice upgrade. The sound canvas support is great for the games that have GMIDI support. Also for like, the early Star Wars games like Dark Forces sounds a lot better with the sound canvas support. So that's a great example of where sound canvas helps you out. But yeah, I would say, it's if you're only playing the adventure games, 3.0 is probably pretty good. But I always encourage you to get the newer version. I think you'll find some niceties in there as well.
And with the Outlaws remaster coming out in a few weeks, why should people choose to play Outlaws on Dream? What benefits, apart from the fact that it's the original game, and I'll always prefer the original game, what benefits does it have over the remaster?
I wouldn't want to say things to discourage purchase of the remaster, because I'm always happy to have more people playing Outlaws, and I have worked with Digital Eclipse in the past, and they're under the same Atari umbrella as Night Drive is, so I wouldn't want to say anything to discourage them. I would just say that on Dream that you're guaranteed a truer original experience. And so, I've seen like they've posted some videos where they're like, here's the new graphics, here's the old graphics. And I can tell that the old graphics are old graphics on their new engine. It's not old graphics on the original engine. And so, I don't know, I'm sure they've done a great job with the stuff, and it's probably going to play great. But if you're an old school player, you like the original graphics. I mean, I personally really like the original graphics, so I'll probably need some convincing to play with the new graphics. Even though they'll look pretty, I'll probably enjoy watching through it all once, all the cutscenes they've carefully redone and everything once. But I'm definitely a sucker for the originals. I'm kind of the same way with Dark Forces. To me, all the graphics just kind of felt like the whole vibe was designed for the resolutions of the time. And so trying to push it above, people are always telling me, why doesn't Dream support resolutions above, I've even gone up as high as 1600 by 1200, which is pretty high for the time, but that was really like the maximum, around the time that Outlaws came out, like nobody really had screens any higher resolution than that. And even that was a lot higher than anything it was designed for. And to me, you get much higher than that, it just kind of looks ugly. I'd rather have a lower base resolution that is upscaled nicely with a nice CRT filter or something on it to kind of give it a little more of an old school vibe, and that kind of brings the graphics together, in my opinion. So, again, I reserve judgment. I haven't actually seen them. I almost got hooked up with them to, I don't know what I was going to help them out with or talk to them about, working on Outlaws, but it never came together. So that was a little disappointing. I saw they did just post an interview with Kevin Schmidt, which is kind of nice. He was one of the level designers for Outlaws, and so I haven't watched it yet, but it'll be an interesting thing to listen to about the original levels.
Awesome. Okay, so you want to start off with Rogue Squadron?
Sure, let's start there. Okay, that's a plain zip file, so hopefully, of course, it's there you go.
Install this game. That's it. Installed.
Didn't have to run the installer. You scared me there. The window disappeared. I thought, oh no, did it crash? Yes, thank you for turning down the volume. That's rather intense.
I don't think I ever played this game.
It's a pretty slick game. It's one of those that'll probably play better with the joystick, but since you don't have one plugged in...
Factor 5.
Yeah, I actually got a chance to work with Factor 5 back in the day, because they did, on the GameCube, they released, it wasn't Rogue Squadron, it was Rogue Leader, I think? And they had an Easter egg
where the Infernal Machine.
But Factor 5 had, you gotta create a pilot first. There you go. But yeah, Factor 5 had a GameCube game, and they wanted an emulator. They wanted to emulate the original Star Wars arcade and Empire Strikes Back arcade and Return of the Jedi arcade. And I worked with them to help bring that emulation there.
So this is software rendering we're seeing?
Hopefully you can't tell. Hopefully it looks just like, hardware rendering, but it's it's me doing all the work.
Hey, the mouse controls aren't too shabby. This isn't Rebel Assault 1. Much
No.
better.
Yeah, it's kind of like Rebel Assault, though, and then it's got a bunch of different missions. Each mission's on a different, planet with different types of ships and stuff, and a lot of times you get to select which ship they are. And this one, you got to kind of follow the red dots on your radar to where the bad guys are.
Yeah, but unlike Rebel Assault, this isn't a rail shooter.
Yeah, no, it's totally. I mean, they keep you within a world. It's not completely
You can
free.
also
but
say that in GTA they keep you within a world, but
I suppose they do.
it's an open world, unlike Rebel Assault.
That's the benefit of going with 3D.
Oh, and you have colored lighting, which was a huge deal with Jedi Knight.
Yeah, I forget where this one came out relative to Jedi Knight. I think it might have been a little bit after.
Yeah, it came out in '98. So a year after Jedi Knight.
If I'm correct,
Okay.
also, I think it came out on the Nintendo 64 as well, around
Looks
the same
like
time.
I'm pretty good at this game.
You're replicating my experience with most of these games, which is that I kind of suck at them all.
First of all, it makes me a better tester if I suck at this game, because again, we talked before the live stream about the golden path that every developer takes, in which you do everything right in order for the game not to crash. So in this case, I'm doing everything wrong to make sure that the game doesn't crash in all the other scenarios apart from you being good at this game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, honestly, the worst part is that you have to. A lot of people who are familiar with the games play the games, and then they get far into it, and then that bug happens on level 9, and I'm like, how the heck am I going to get to level 9 at a game that I completely stink at? You hope that there's cheat codes or some other way that you can get there. But I recommend that we intersperse the Lucas Learning games in between there, because if we do like all the Lucas Learning games in a row, they're going to be kind of the same.
Okay.
So why don't we try one of the other ones?
Yeah, want to play Anakin Speedway?
Sure.
Now I see that we have the US version and the European version. How do you differentiate between them?
A lot of it's, I just based on the files and where they were released. A lot of the Lucas Learning games were released in a limited number of countries. So unlike LucasArts at the time, which was really trying to cover, Italian, Spanish, French, German, and Portuguese, the Lucas Learning games kind of are a hodgepodge. So, for example, I found a demo in there as well. Anakin Speedway is going to be at the beginning. The Anakin Speedway, I think, was only released in the US.
All right, this is going to be really cool. I'll tell you how things work so we can start having fun. This is the stop button. We'll go faster.
No, this looks like fun.
So one.
So basically, you can tweak with the track by clicking on it.
Slower around the curve. If you want, sorry, we'll make it next
Oh.
time. Just go fast.
Gotcha. It's like that, that game Lucidity?
Can't make courses
Yeah.
this great.
I would say most of the Lucas Learning games are targeted toward very young kids, and so they're probably not super fun to play on your own. But there's a couple that are a little more interesting. That might be interesting for grown-ups to play.
Go fast to make
I don't know. I see myself putting 40 hours into this game. Okay, so I switch between the tiles themselves.
Yeah, I think you can toggle between different tiles in each area.
on hot planet.
Okay, now I
There's a
created...
Sarlacc pit. They're nice.
Yeah.
And then I think you push the buttons, 1, 2, 3 buttons down below to get them going. Or,
Ready for a test drive?
I think that's the speed, maybe. Yeah, you don't want to go too fast, apparently.
I guess we were going too fast.
So yeah, this is like a super simple game. I don't know what happens if you click on the planets over there on the left.
notice if you like the cold, you'll love and.
No, I see. So there's different.
People
So, yeah,
actually
not
paid money.
Not
for
much
this
for
game.
this. Not much for this game. Yeah. Hey, it keeps your kids occupied, right? They're
Never
driving
had
around,
days like this on Tatooine. Yikes!
and you can print. You can print your ones too.
Oh, and you even got the Anakin over here.
Yeah, maybe you unlock some things later.
Okay. This was fun.
Yeah, like I said, there's not much to them. You wouldn't want to do a bunch of these in a row, but you know, kind of intersperse them with the other ones.
Okay, so let's do DroidWorks.
This one's a little more interesting for the Lucas Learning ones. It's basically a droid building game, and you have to solve physics problems with it. So you have to build a droid that's up to the task that you're given, and you can build a droid from a bunch of different parts. So it looks like you put that in a zip file, and it's a CD image, so it has to decompress the whole CD image into memory first. That's why it was taking a long time to go, and then and now that it's
So let's say
decompressed,
let's file the file I dragged into the window itself is 500 megabytes. So it extracts that. So you have the zip file and the extracted file, and then it extracts the image.
Yes.
So you have 3 times that, and then it installs it into the Dream folder. So it's 4 times that, and then it deletes 2 of the copies.
Everything's extracted into memory. It assumes that you've got gigs of storage in your memory these days. So I can extract the CD image
into the hard drive itself.
No.
Okay.
Basically, I load the zip file. I look at the zip file, which is still on disk, and then I see it's a giant ISO file or whatever it is, and I allocate the memory for that, and I extract that. This one takes a while because it's got some Red Book audio on it. An interesting thing about DroidWorks is they actually use the Jedi engine, but only in software mode. So you're missing the great movies at the beginning, the great Lucas Learning movies.
No,
at the beginning.
I'm not missing them. You're just not seeing them in the shared screen. Everyone else is.
Oh, okay. But yeah, the movies in these Lucas Learning games are interesting. Some of them use QuickTime. Some of them use AVI files, which were the Windows QuickTime equivalent.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to support both of those in Dream. So that was another thing that took like a good month's worth of time, was to
wait, so the Windows version had AVI and the Mac version had QuickTime?
No, sometimes the Windows versions had QuickTime as well, because they had QuickTime for Windows.
That's one of the biggest problems with emulating the X-Files adventure game or FMV game from the 90s, because it was created with a very specific version of QuickTime, so you have to have a Windows 98 emulator and that specific version of QuickTime in order for it to work.
No, I should look into it. It sounds like the perfect test bed for Dream.
Now that you nailed that in Dream, let's start adding support for the late 90s FMV games. Like
it's
Ripper
quite possible.
And the X-Files game.
My word, this disguise looks quite good on you. I hardly recognize you. This young rebel makes an excellent Jawa. Don't you agree, R2? R2 is right. Now that your disguise is in place, we should begin immediately. You have been chosen for a very important mission. Fortunately for you, we are here to assist you. Yes, R2, I was coming to that.
Hello there.
Wow.
You may call her Cammy for short.
So this is QuickTime or AVI?
I don't actually know which one this is using. This might actually even be using Smush or Insane, because they do sometimes use that too. So like, it's a hodgepodge of random. Sometimes one game will use both QuickTime and, Insane videos. I can't remember which one's using which anymore.
Yeah, the reason I'm asking is because AVI files and QuickTime files as well at the time didn't have such great compression. You can barely see the pixels.
Yeah, this isn't too bad for the time. Of course, we're also getting the lovely CGI or 3D rendered characters of the era.
Mm-hmm.
Probably no. I'll show you. Or you can do yes.
We'll show you how to build.
Okay.
It's enough of that.
Aaron.
Oh, fine. Make me responsible for this. So if
Okay.
you click on the upper left area, you can pick heads or arms or bodies. So you just pick one, put it on the thing, and then if you pick a body, you have to connect the same color dots to the same color dots. So you can put an arm where there's a red dot, and then you can put legs and pinchers or whatever. And then, like, hands. You need some hands there.
Laws.
There you go. Claws, sorry. And you can put different ones on each one. And you can rotate it around using the arrows at the bottom. So this is where it's using the Jedi engine, because it's actually using the same renderer as Jedi Knight, just in software-only mode to render the robot for you. Look at that fine detail.
And when I constructed this android, it seemed like these were just images of parts that link together, but I see now that it's an actual 3D model.
Yeah, fancy.
In this training mission, your droid needs to get through the door at the top of the cliff. Depending on your droid's speed, traction, and strength, you'll need to use either a few or all of the objects nearby to help your droid reach the top of the cliff. Use Index to help you better understand how inclines work. When you complete this mission, you will be awarded the ranking of Apprentice and receive the reward of a Cybot Galactica AP-9 tank locomotion system. Good luck.
Wow.
So yeah, you have different missions that you have to accomplish. Just click the X at the bottom there. I think one of the other buttons on the right actually goes to, or maybe the big red one takes you to the mission.
This one?
But,
No,
yeah,
this one is a zoom button.
Oh, I see. Maybe it is one of the other ones on the other side.
No. No.
Cancel.
Your droid has
Oh, you
no
need to add
power.
Greetings.
batteries.
Welcome
Okay.
to one of the most
Great.
important areas.
This was great.
Yes. You can cleanse
Okay,
your
next.
palette with a non LucasArts game. Hey, you want
Yeah.
to show the auto copy protection with Menace?
Yeah, that's what I was about to do. I was about to install the German version of Semen Max Hit the Road, where
Okay.
we'll
This
we'll
one
get to
actually does
hear
run the
the-
installer,
yeah.
but it does it automatically runs it for you, so you don't have to.
You see, that's why I asked.
Yeah.
Okay, sound. Can I choose the rule?
Why don't you
in
choose
MP32?
General MIDI? Why don't you use General MIDI and let's roll on sound canvas,
Ooh.
which it's picked. Yeah, there you go. That'll show off that too. Now we're ready to go.
Okay, let's see it solve
press
the
a key.
copy protection. Okay, so I'm not moving the cursor right now. It's
Yep.
all automated.
Freunde? Freunde? Wir waren nur dreimal zusammen weg und schon erzählst du mir, wir sollen nur Freunde sein? Du hast mir niemals eine Chance gegeben und dafür wirst du brutzeln wie eine grobe Bratwurst.
Es ist ja nicht so, dass ich dich nicht mag. Es ist bloß... Nun,
Sounds better than the English version.
It's the sound canvas. It's the General MIDI soundtrack.
Wow. Wait, I have to know if it says flint paper. Oh, they
Still
didn't
says it there?
translate that.
Generally, if it's in the artwork, they're not going to do the effort.
You know, in later games they did.
Oh, really?
Back in the day, they didn't change anything. Like early 90s or 95 or so, they didn't change the artwork. But after that, later games did change the artwork. Okay. Anything else you want to show off in 7X?
Nope, that was just sort of a quick little test to show off the sound canvas and the audio protection stuff.
Okay. Let's play the Gungan Frontier.
So I'd say this is one of the more interesting. You can skip that one. Yeah. A lot of times they package demos of other games on there. This has the prettiest title screen of all the games, honestly. So this one's kind of like a sim life sort of thing, where basically you're trying to.
This looks like I don't know, Microsoft and Carta, or those.
Yeah, it's a sim game basically. You're kind of trying to organize resources on the moon so that the Gungans can live there, I think. So definitely worth going through the training mission.
No, cancel training mission. Oof, we get a title screen.
I mean, it's a Star Wars game. You got to have the crawl, right? I actually did a funny YouTube video with all the Star Wars crawls from all the games put back to back, ranking them based on how accurate they are to the original Star Wars crawl in terms of like how fast the text moved and whether you used the right fonts and whether they had the right angle of the thing, because they're all different.
I saw that. And the color of the
color of the texts and everything, yeah.
Wait,
so you can play either as Obi-Wan. No, you can only do Amidala or Obi-Wan. I'm pretty sure these are QuickTime movies that it uses in this one.
Welcome to the moon of Naboo. Your mission is to release creatures and plants, build a balanced ecosystem, and help the Gungans build a new city.
Is there a game genre they didn't do a game for
the main menu button at any time.
Back then?
Look in the upper right-hand corner of the screen.
I mean, it seems like a logical thing to start covering all the different genres, right?
Gungans are currently at 0. Now then, where should we begin? Releasing some plants is a good place to start building an ecosystem.
Wait, what happened?
I don't know.
Good job. The bubble spore is released from your ship and arrives at the point you indicated. The plant fizzes in as the probe droid.
I mean, this was 1999 or 2000.
Mm-hmm.
Try releasing some more.
And so, at the time, they should have given you on-screen help as opposed to expecting you to read the manual.
I don't know. Still seems to be the era of where they expect you to read the manual.
The large circle at the bottom center of your dashboard.
Certainly all the flight sims of the era, like X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, and those guys definitely presume that you've, studied the controls and know what you're doing in them. Afterlife was released not too long before that either. That definitely required some studying of the manual, and they also had a tutorial in that one as well.
Yeah, but Afterlife was 96. This is 99 or 2000.
99, yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
With droids.
I'd say this is probably the most pleasing to an adult of the Lucas Learning games in terms of being fun to play. It's sort of like Lemmings. It's more of a puzzle game.
It should have been the tagline for the game. It's pleasing to play it as an adult. The most pleasing of the LucasArts Learning.
Look at that filled in Star Wars. Who does that?
Yeah. Where's the episode number?
I think this was
droids.
not tied to episode 1, actually. I think this is one of the non-episode 1 Lucas Learning
Yeah,
games.
but Rebel Assault isn't linked to anything, and still you have episode 2.
Yeah. But it still has Watto and the pit droids, so I mean, it is fundamentally a episode 1 game, I guess. This is QuickTime for sure.
Yeah, look how pixelated it is.
Yep. Good old Cinepack.
Hey, you! Get away from that transmitter! Ah, these pit droids. You gotta tell them what to do every minute. So, I got a deal on a whole shipload of these pit droids. Maybe too many, but in the race arena, you never know. There are deals to be made, eh? But not if they go wandering all over the place. Somebody's gotta get all these pit droids headed where they belong. You get them all the way to the arena.
I'm invested.
Then I'll be impressed, huh? Good luck!
Like, this is the most immersive game yet.
So basically, it starts spitting out droids, and you have to get them to the area that's with the circle. And so you have, if you go up to the top left, you have tools. You can put that down somewhere, like where the droid is standing, and then they'll turn that direction. And so the goal is to just...
So this is basically Star Wars Lemmings.
Yeah, it's basically Star Wars Lemmings. It's very Lemmings-like. Though instead of giving the droids jobs, you're basically manipulating the environment to get them where they need to go. And it gets progressively more advanced.
I mean, this mission could have been much shorter. Like,
you can hit the fast forward arrow at the bottom to make it finish up faster. Because I think there's like 48 droids, yeah.
Oh, in that case, then it's amazing game design to have it so long that you have to press the fast forward button. No! Crap! Okay. Now I know.
You can just hold it down, I think, can't you? Oh, there.
Okay, advanced droids.
Oh, you have to do it one more time, I guess. Oh, no, there's a new one. I don't know what the key is for. Oh, and you can change the direction, that's right. How do you change the direction? You right-click on it or something?
Wait.
Oh, and I guess when you put it down, you click on the direction, or if you click on it, maybe you can change the direction that it's
Crap. Crap. Man, this game is fun.
That's a
and
nice little diversion.
Yeah, and you can use the same arrows as before. You don't have to re-add them to the game. Oh man.
Oh, I see. You have to get him onto the key, and that unlocks the central area. I think it's okay if you don't get a perfect score.
No, because then the level doesn't end.
Well, it's because you keep clicking the replay the level button.
No. You have to get all 48 of them.
You gotta move faster than that. You should just restart now. You're not gonna make it.
Wait, I need to get all of them? Let's see. Is it
No, I think
47 now?
one of them crashed at the beginning.
No, so it's 43.
What's the button on the far right, bottom? Yeah, you need to basically count those that you got. You have not. You have to get 144 total for that one. It looks like.
Okay.
Oh, that one
Yeah.
fills up, and then you got to have something that as a backup to make it go the other direction.
Man, this game is fun. Let's end the conversation and I'll keep playing. Okay.
All right, maybe on to some non-Lucas Learning games. Take a break.
Episode 1 Racer is the
Yeah,
Lucas
sure.
Learning.
That's not Lucas Learning. That's an official release. In fact, they've made an arcade version. I don't know what kind of hardware it ran on, but I remember it in the arcades. But yeah, it's just a typical pod racing game, I guess. It's a good stressor for my 3D engine. Trying to get it to run 60 frames a second in the actual race. This one also supports network play in theory. I've connected up 2 instances running on my machine.
Why can't they be consistent? Ooh, look at that intro.
Tatooine, pod race fans. We have perfect weather today for the Bunta Classic.
And a big turnout here from all corners of the Outer Rim territories. I see the contestants are making their way out onto the starting grid.
There he is, the reigning champion of the Bunta Classic and the crowd favorite, Sububa.
This is probably Smush.
I think so. It's got that smushed feel to it, doesn't it?
Okay. Replay. Anakin.
It always plays this little cheesy intro to get you to the controls.
How cheesy.
I don't know, it's pretty cheesy, in my opinion. So you get to pick which race you want to do.
Let's do
On the
Tatooine.
track. Start it. So use W and S to accelerate, decelerate, and left and right to control it. That bar they put at the top above the time and everything like that always threw me off. It looked like an error, but apparently it's that way in the real game. It looks like it's positioned wrong, like all that stuff should be up higher on the screen, but I guess it's just a stylistic choice.
This reminds me that back in, I think, around the time when widescreen TVs started being popular, then TV shows would still have the credits aligned as if you were watching it on a 4:3 screen.
Oh yeah.
Because some people were watching it on a 4:3 screen. So, for example, I don't know, the third season of 24. Like it's widescreen, but all the titles, all the credits are centered inside that 4:3 square.
Yeah.
So this seems very...
It feels like the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah, but as far as I can tell, there's no configuration for the resolution on this game, so it always just runs at 640 by 480.
Hey, I'm first place.
I know. You're kind of good at this. Using the limited controls you've got.
I think they remastered the game. I think I saw them sell it on GOG with some quality of life changes or...
Yeah, the GOG version will install in Dream, so if you if you buy it on GOG, you can run that version in Dream.
What's the biggest problem you have with GOG games? The lack of executables?
For the adventure games, for sure, because anything where they use ScumVM as their engine, they didn't need the executables because ScumVM replaces the executable, whereas Dream requires the original executable. And so a lot of the games are missing them. I've come up with a way to kind of reconstruct them from the other data, so that these days, if you buy the game on GOG legitimately and try to install it in Dream will reconstruct the original executable from the other data, and to let you play it in Dream.
When you say reconstruct, that means that there's a copy of the executable?
No, it basically takes the other data that you do have from the game and assembles bits and pieces of it into the original executable.
Gotcha.
So
I'm not sure which parts of the game are actually embedded in the executable. Because if you remember when we were trying to reconstruct the Hebrew version of Loom, and there was only the cracked executable, then we just added the executable from the English version to the Hebrew version, and then it worked perfectly with the copy protection intact.
Yeah, well, I was able to compare the hacked executable versus... Nice. I was able to compare the hacked executable versus versus the English one, and notice that it was that was the version that had been hacked, because usually when they hack an executable, they just make minimal changes. And so you can usually tell when it was like a newly compiled version, there's a lot of changes, versus when you take one, then you just tweak it or hack it, then it's usually just very surgical changes, and those are really easy to spot. So I was able to determine that the hacked version was hacked from the English version. And so that's why I kind of knew that the English version was going to work fine.
And I remember Racer having problems with computers back then when it came to frame speed and frames per second. Did you implement any kind of frame limiter in this case, or?
No, but that is one small feature that I added. If you go and click on the configure in the advanced there, where it says advanced configure, no, on the bottom. You can set a maximum frame rate, which basically will limit the display modes to a lower frame rate. The reason I added that is because I had a request from people who were running like Escape from Monkey Island on a system that wasn't quite capable of running it at 60 frames per second. And so they wanted to be able to limit it so that it wouldn't overtax their CPU and try to max out their CPU, because they were like, it's fine to me if it runs at 30 frames per second or whatever. And then somebody else pointed out that Shadows of the Empire actually runs too fast. If you start the Hoth mission, a lot of the beginning of it runs kind of over speed. And it was actually designed to run at 30 frames per second. And so by limiting the refresh rate to 30 hertz, you can basically kind of create the right effect where it's limited in a way that it was designed for. I think because we're basically emulating it, I think too fast at the beginning of the mission. And I've heard that there are other missions that if you let it run at 60 hertz, it will actually, on Shadows of the Empire, that will actually create problems with you completing the mission. I don't know the details of that. I just saw something online about it, and so I thought I'd put in the limiter so people can tweak with it and see if they have better luck reducing the frame rate.
And can change the refresh rate during the game, or just...
Yeah, you can change it during the game too. Though I'm not guarantee that it's work, because some games may detect the refresh rate up front and just assume that. So if you change it in the middle, normally you can't change your monitor's refresh rate in the middle of a game, but you can try. I'm not going to stop you. That's why it's in the advanced menu. You can break things with your advanced menu.
Let's see. So I'll hit the Alt-U and change...
Advanced configuration. Advanced.
Yeah.
Nice. Looks like it adapts okay.
Well done.
If you do Shift Alt V, you can see video statistics, including the actual frame rate it's running at. So.
Alt V. Ooh. Okay. And
so, yeah.
Alt U and set maximum frame rate. Awesome. This is great work.
Yeah, there's lots of interesting statistics in there if you're a geek and want to see what your game's doing, or if you're dropping frames or whatever. The top line is the resolution and screen that the screen's supposed to be running at, and then the next line is how often it's updating, copying the final screen bits to your hardware screen. And then the bottom line, if you have a 3D game, will tell you how many triangles it's drawing, how much overdraw it's doing, and how many scenes it's rendering. So it says 120 frames per second. I think that's a bit of a misnomer. I think it's drawing 2 separate scenes per frame. And so it's probably should actually say scenes per second, not frames per second. But
so the second line is the DirectX 11.
Yeah, that's using the Direct 3D to get to your screen. So if you change it to OpenGL, it'll say that it's using OpenGL or whatever there.
Can I change it mid-game?
No, that you have to exit out to change to OpenGL.
Okay, let's move on to the next game. Pick one. Do
Let's
you
see
want
what
to
you
play
got.
The Phantom Menace?
Sure, let's do Phantom Menace.
Wow. You
This
sound
was a licensed game.
enthusiastic.
It's kind of funny because I actually haven't played most of these games very far through. I'm kind of hoping that other people play them through and report bugs to me. This one was sort of a hybrid release. It was done on the consoles at the same time as, I think there's a PlayStation version, and it's done by Big Ape as a licensee, so it's a licensed title. But it's sort of a third-person reenact the game sort of, reenact the movie sort of game.
I mean, there are like 1 million Episode 1 games that were released around the same time. Did they actually think people will buy all of them?
No. Episode 1 was pretty popular, even if it got less popular over
But
time.
you're not going to buy like 12 games. How do I remove the...
Oh, Control-Shift-V. Sorry, Alt-Shift-V. Sorry, Alt-Shift-V.
I have a bad feeling about this.
Your feelings serve you well, Obi-Wan.
Ooh, I love those 3D graphics.
What is your plan, Qui-Gon?
When the Trade Federation Viceroy arrives, we must convince him to leave the system.
Will they agree to leave?
This is the most realistic Star Wars game I've ever seen.
Still, be prepared for the unexpected.
I don't understand how it looks worse than Jedi Knight. I mean, Jedi Knight came out like 2 years prior to this.
You need to get out before the poison, or you need to kill the droid, or do something before the poison kills you. I forget what you're supposed to do to get out of here. There's some poison gas in there. Or maybe you just need to walk to the door. I guess I didn't trap you in.
Yeah, let me take my sweet ass time, okay?
Alright, I'm sorry.
Okay. It actually feels like a licensed game because Jedi Knight is far superior to this, and it came out 2 years prior to this. And so I presume that he didn't share. This doesn't run on the Jedi
No.
engine.
I don't know what engine it runs on, but it was also released for consoles, and so I think that a lot of the design is a little more console-focused than Jedi Knight
Yeah, but
was,
the
which was
graphics
designed for...
are kind of wonky for 1999.
I think you're supposed to press that hand pad that was back there. On the left.
This one?
On the left. On the left. The hand. I don't know how you do that. There's probably a button for it. There you go.
Oof.
Ooh,
Yeah.
look at you.
Picked
Now you
up
got
a
a blaster.
blaster. How do I switch to the blaster? Now, the controls aren't very intuitive. I can
Figured
only
it out
use
pretty fast.
the arrow keys.
somewhere.
And then
It probably plays better with the joystick too.
oh, come on, Qui-Gon. Okay.
So there you go. That's episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
Jar Jar's Journey Adventure Book.
So this is probably the youngest aimed game of the LucasArts games. So just be prepared. I think it runs on the same engine as the episode 1 Insider's Guide and the Behind the Magic for the multimedia CDs that they released kind of around that time. It's got very chunkily animated graphics.
For parents.
Yeah, they got a whole parents like README file about, things that you might want to.
Tastes like chicken.
Well, of course it's aimed for kids. Only kids could love Jar Jar.
Hello, Deli. I'm Jar Jar Binks. I'm so happy you've come to play with me today. If you want me to read you a story, click on this button. If you have a favorite page and want to see it again, click on this button. And if you are brave enough to try some of the games, click on this button. Finally, if you are done playing the game and want to leave the program, click on this button.
We're done playing the game.
Okay.
I haven't even looked at these games.
Wahooey! Welcome to my cool coloring center.
Pretty much what you'd expect. I noticed a lot of the LucasArts games have a printer icon so you can print things too.
In color. Does it work in Dream?
No. I had to pretend explicitly like there's no printer attached so that it didn't just crash out when you clicked it. I have to admit I haven't tried the printer in every single scenario, so it's entirely possible that it could.
Let's try the printer.
Okay.
Oh, that's what it should do. Good for me.
Yikes-a-booey! The bongo is lost in the core. Help us find the way to feed. Click here to start playing. Or do you need help? Click on me. See? The bongo moved in the same direction that the arrow is pointing.
Think you can handle it?
I think so.
Yeah! You're doing grand. Also, we should try another game.
Yeah, let's try another game. Jar Jar is right.
Jar Jar, that's enough.
Okay, let's play Star Wars Monopoly. I never played this one. Is that
I think this uses like Director or some kind of other engine to actually like run the game because it's got this very kind of, I don't know, it's got some engine underneath it. It feels very very strange, and it's also got like the classic late 90s 3D models of all the characters, kind of graphics that they like pre-rendered and then incorporated into the game. It takes a while to decompress, 650 megs and then find the CD inside.
Oh, I saw the AVI files.
Yeah, this is one I definitely needed the AVI files for. It pretty much plays scenes from the movie on every move. It's also the only game that requires 800 by 600 or greater resolution. All the other games work at 640, 480.
Maybe those Hasbro's requirement.
Oh, I'm sure. So you got to add your players. You can add human players or AI players.
Aaron, that's a real player. And medium is the AI player.
Heroine to battle on your behalf. Well chosen. So, you have made your choice. Now, prepare to advance to go. And may the force be with you. Captain Odo's turn.
That's computer playing.
Wow.
Captain
Check out these graphics.
6 spaces to hop. Echo base.
Look at him go.
Timing is everything.
These are the AVI files.
Captain Solo is paying the bank for a property purchase.
So convoluted. Give me an option to roll the dice,
I think
and that's it.
click on the dice to roll.
R2-D2 is moving 6 spaces to hop. Echo base.
It's got this kind of pseudo 3D view of the board.
Extremely versatile.
You can turn all that off, like all these animations and movies and everything like that. It's got options for turning it off because it gets kind of wearing after a while.
R2-D2 is paying Captain Solo for property rent.
I'm sure people were impressed by having these scenes run on their computers.
Uh-huh.
Princess Leia steps to an Imperial card.
Okay. I think we're done
You
with
card
Monopoly.
mid dive there. That was impressive.
Star Wars Rebellion. Did you play
Alright.
this one?
This is one of the most impenetrable games I've seen. This is one where you absolutely had to read the manual to understand what the heck is going on. It's basically a turn-based strategy game across the galaxy where you're controlling fleets of ships and managing resources and stuff like that. There are diehard fans who are super into it, and I think they're almost all people who got the game when they were young, and because you spent a lot of money on a game and it looked cool, and you spent the time to read the manual and understand the nuances and get into it and play it, and once you kind of got over the hump of learning it, it was fun. But as a casual player, I find it I got more things to do in my life than learn how to play this game. So. This is another licensed title, obviously.
Back then, we didn't have better things to do.
This is another game you can play networked. You can connect network and play, because one side plays the Rebels and one side plays the Empire.
I think that when it comes to Outlaws, then you have a very huge fan base online that can test out the new network play features. But does Rebellion have such a large fan base?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. But
I am IMP-22 military. As you wish. Might I offer?
Oh, jeez.
I call this one. I call this game Outlook Star Wars, because it's basically kind of like a lot of it is reading all the messages that come in, and it's like reading your email. It's got a giant encyclopedia of stuff. Yes. Got encyclopedia stuff. If you just click around, if you click on the map, if you clear this out in the upper right corner of the window there, you can and that see that flag looking thing? Yeah, that's like the close. I don't know why that's the close for this screen. The flag. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So you can click on those star systems there and bring them up, and then you can click on the planets and look at what's on the planets and what resources are available and stuff like that. Are you clicking and it's not taking?
Yeah.
Or maybe you only click on one of the star systems that's in color on the other one. And in the back, go back to the star map. See how there's some that have colored lines? Yeah, those, and you can click on the little icons next to the planets to see who's there, what kind of things you got there. It's like there's just a ton of stuff. It's super complicated. And as the game progresses, you'll get notification of things happening in the world. You can change the speed of the time that's happening.
As the game progresses, the game just started and I have no idea what's going on.
I think see that 7 in the top right? I think that's the current time. So if you click on that, I think it'll let you control the speed. Game speed control. So if you click on it, or maybe on the bars next to it, it'll change the speed.
I changed it from 7 to 8 somehow.
No, I think that's just the time. Oh yeah, you need to click and hold. There you go. Click and hold and then select.
No, so it's not
fast.
click and hold. I'm right clicking.
Oh, right click. Okay. Yeah, I had to implement a lot of weird stuff for this game. Like if you hold your cursor over one of the icons, it'll have a tooltip. So I had to implement tooltips, like Windows-style tooltips, because it actually used the Windows-style tooltips for this. And if you have a battle, you can command the battle, and it uses something called Direct 3D Retained Mode, which is basically, it has its own 3D model format that you can load and then position the items in space and draw it. Like most of the games didn't bother with retained mode. They use something called immediate mode, where they're basically I control the 3D world and I tell you what triangles to draw. This one's load these models in your native format and position them here and then draw the scene. And so I had to implement the entirety or a big chunk of retained mode 3D, which is very rare usage in game. Almost no games use it. So,
this looks like the encyclopedia looks like the DIG logo. DIG.
I guess it does kind of. But you've put it on pause now, so nothing's happening.
Wait, how do I resume?
Right click on the speed control. The last time you right clicked on the speed control, you selected pause.
Oh, that's right. Okay, now we're talking.
Yeah, if you wait long enough,
you'll get implement the tooltips, because I know that for Mortimer you implemented the Windows 95 pop-ups for the save games themselves.
Yeah.
So was the tooltip not part of this entire implementation?
Yeah, it wasn't too hard to implement, but it's just sort of an ironic thing that I never thought I'd have to implement tooltip controls for Dream, and then this game comes along and uses them. So, okay. And without the tooltips, it's kind of hard to know what's going on. So I felt it was kind of crucial to.
Yeah, I'm sure now with the tooltips, this is a much easier game now. I know exactly what's happening, and I'm up to speed on everything that's supposed to be.
Yes. That's enough of that.
Now we have X-Wing Alliance.
Yes.
Okay, so I have disc 1 and disc 2. Is it going to recognize the fact that I have disc 2? Do I have
it's
to
not going to recognize that as the only one. You might want to cancel a lot of this and then drag them together. Usually for a 2-disc game, you want to select both discs in Explorer and drag them at the same time.
Let's see.
Let's see
what happens. Yeah.
It may put you in multi-disc mode, in which case it'll copy the contents of the first one. Take copy multi-disc.
Okay.
No.
Do I need to drag the second one?
No, it's in the middle of copying.
Okay.
Oh, you found a bug. I'll have to fix that one.
Okay.
I think it's in the middle of decompressing that giant ISO image that's in there. So just try dragging both.
If I drag both of them, I see they recognize just the second one.
Well, it's scanning the directories in that one. And then it'll switch to scanning the directories in the other one. But right now, for some reason, it's picked this 2 first. I just process them in the order that they were given to me by the operating system.
Let's see what happens. Well, of course, all of these bugs will be fixed by the time the official version of Dream 4 is released. So no worries there.
Yeah.
While we're
taking
waiting,
notes about bugs, yes.
Yeah, while we're waiting, I wanted to ask you about a game I asked for you to add support for last time, which is Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb.
Which was released after 2000.
I know.
So that's why it didn't qualify for 4.0.
Yeah. But
I also don't know if it's possible to... So I've drawn a line in the sand about like how late of a game I will support. And it really comes down to, does the game require a 3D card that supports pixel shaders or vertex shaders? Because if it does, that's much more difficult for me to emulate in software like I've been doing than it is for the other games. So basically, as soon as games start requiring pixel shaders, that's probably where I'll cut it off. And so I don't know if Emperor's Tomb requires them or not. It may just require a fixed function.
So if it does, that means you'll never support it?
Probably not. Oh.
Joyce?
Oh, I think we might be in trouble here because you don't have a joystick. You don't have any kind of controller that you can plug in?
No, that's it. The game crashed.
It won't let you... Well, no, it didn't crash. It won't let you run without a joystick connected. I guess we can't test that one.
That was a waste of time. At least we found the bugs.
Yeah, well, I don't know if X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, that might be in the same category. I'm not sure.
We'll see in a moment.
It's thinking hard.
We can always play Pit Droids again.
So yeah, let's see if this one does it or not.
Totally games. What? This was too fast.
This is pretty fast. Everything in this intro is fast.
What is this? This is like an eye test. If you can read everything, then you have twin vision. What?
This is one. Stay alert.
Again.
Look at that.
I should have warned you about the joystick-only games. But they will run if you have a joystick.
Wait, but in the configuration I see introduction, watch intro, or skip intro.
Yes, I put that in there because the original launcher, which I bypass, had that option there, and so I thought I would give the option.
You also bypass the one for Rebel Assault?
No, that's only if they have that in that launcher.
Yep, we have the launcher here.
Yes, so that one I actually run the launcher because it's integrated in the game. I can't skip it. Whereas most of the other games...
I chose quit Rebel Assault and it got me to Rebel Assault. Next up, we have Yoda's Challenge.
So this is another Lucas Learning game.
I have the demo already installed from one of the previous games we installed.
Oh, yeah.
Now we have the full game, which has amazing features like...
They're all a bunch of mini games. These next few games, expect the rest of the Lucas Learning games are all games that just feature a bunch of mini games for kids of various interest. Well, thank you for taking one for the team there, Daniel.
Yeah.
You always put my name in, so you took one this time.
I think I'm going to excel in this game, so that's why I want to put it.
There they are with the filled-in Star Wars logo again. Gross.
Six missions there are. The victory races of Naboo. Your skip. A great victory the Republic won on Naboo. A celebration there is. 4 levels of races there are. 10 races in each level.
Hey, this has the same interface as that Anakin Speedway game.
Yeah, it looks kind of like it.
We're about ready here as the racers are at the starting line.
They're set, and they're off.
Okay.
And they're out of the gates in a big hurry. This promises to be a great race. And the crowd can't tell who's in the lead as they race down the
How'd they magically go through that?
Yeah.
The Queen is on the home stretch.
What am I clipping through the walls? What is this?
Maybe they just
Doom?
slow you down or something. Okay.
Mind what you have learned.
And scramble Queen's computer. Looks like a hacking game.
In each circle, a picture is hidden. Uncover the hidden picture. Move each shape to its original spot, you must. To move a shape, grab its center and move it about. To turn a shape, grab the corners, you must. When all are in place, the hidden picture will appear, yes. Back to the other pictures, yes, when you follow this path.
Man, this is fun.
How old are your kids?
You know that game Unpacking?
Uh-huh.
This is very similar to that.
For providing a valuable service to me and my crew. You shall be commended.
Oh, wait. Okay,
This game might be too advanced for you, Daniel.
Yeah. I feel like I suck at the kids game.
This is the danger.
Maybe I should edit this part out.
This is the danger of trying kids games live, is that you could be bad at them.
Look at that.
My friend Anakin. He was born strong with the Force.
No, natural.
You have done well. Take this path. Print the picture, you will. To uncover.
Okay, so I have 6 of these games.
Yep. I can't really vouch for any of them being particularly exciting.
I can vouch for them not being exciting without playing any of them.
I'd say of the minigame games, this one's probably the best one. It's more like teach your kids to gamble, though, because it's all like math-related games, and a lot of them are betting on things. So.
Enter your name, Daniel. Taking another one for the team. I don't know, space is kind of bluish in this
It is kind of
intro video.
I think they needed to fix the black levels on their rendering there.
So you had a bit
It's this guy again.
landing, I think. Too bad for you, huh? New ships don't.
Whoops, you clicked through a game, but here you can.
What?
This is Digiato. The goal is to create the highest, lowest, or closest number using these cute little digit droids. I'll show you how to play the game, yes?
No, don't show me how to play again. No.
So basically, he picks 4 random numbers. You have to put them in one of the 3-digit slots or in the cage to discard one, and then you try to get the highest number. Or actually, the first thing you need to do is click that. So you have to make the highest number. So you got a 7. So you probably want to put that in like one of the top places because it's going to be like a 700 kind of thing. The goal is to teach kids like how to put numbers in certain digit slots, hundreds or tens or ones.
I don't know, it seems like it teaches kids how to gamble.
Your play gets me worked up.
But then you win credits in these games, and then when you get the credits, you can go to the shop to buy parts for your ship, and then when you buy all the necessary parts for your ship, you can fly the ship to go on missions and collect garbage or collect junk to sell or shoot down asteroids or that kind of thing. So yeah, I should have saved a spot for the 8, but unfortunately that's a discard. Oh, but you guys did the same one, so you guys tied. You can keep doing that. You saw your point total went up by 10. The Holo Checks is basically... Dueling Dice is basically a gambling game. You're basically rolling dice to see.
Welcome, my friend. This is the game of dueling dice, and I am Sebulba. Or do you want me to show you how to play the game first?
No.
So, you're a hotshot, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go first.
You got that right. I'm a hotshot.
Basically, click to roll the dice. And then you have to count the total number of pips correctly, and then hit the green button above. There you go.
Good answer.
Okay.
Count 9 there for that one. And then you hit the green button, and then you have to enter the total. You have to do math, because it's the math game.
Wow.
16, enter. And the goal is to not roll... You have to roll the highest number, but not more than 30. So if you're going to roll over 30, it's kind of like blackjack. You basically have to not exceed 30 as your total.
I mean, this is a gambling game.
It basically is, yeah.
Okay.
There's a bunch of other similar games. There's like a Chinese checkers game and another one. Rats Race is sort of like a Candyland kind of thing. Oh, this is more like, yeah, it's kind of like Candyland, except you land on a certain color and it becomes a math problem that you have to do.
Would you like me to show you how to play this here Rats Race?
Don't show me anything.
Well, all right then. A real go-getter. First thing you need to do is spin an odd number to get your pathwalker on the game board.
You gotta push the button on the left there, the flashing one.
The Chubas do the rest. Good luck. Spin an odd number.
So the annoying thing is that you can't start playing until you spin an odd number. So basically, it's a random when you get started.
Watch out, Galaxy! Rats has arrived!
Okay. Awesome.
Then you can play Chinese checkers against Jabba in his palace over there at Holochecks.
Does he blink? Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he
wow.
blinks.
You look as green as a monkey lizard. Would you like me to show you how to play Holochecks?
No.
You can do it. So basically, you can move or you can jump.
It's very similar to the game they played in the Millennium Falcon in the first movie.
Basically, if you can jump something, you have to. So the one in the left side can jump diagonally over that one. Yeah, that.
No, he can't.
No, the one over from that one. One to the left from that one. He can jump. Click on him.
No. I can't.
Click him.
I can't.
It's not clicking?
No. This one not clicking either. No.
It won't let you click the one over from that one? If you click on the yellow part underneath him? One over from that.
What's happening?
That one you can jump. The one that you just clicked on there. Yeah, you can jump diagonally from there. Diagonally down to the middle.
Oh, that's the right answer. Well done, Aaron. We should have played under your name. Okay.
So yeah, that's mostly what that one's about.
Next up, we have
early learn. This is the last Lucas learning game. This is the Early Learning Activity Center.
What can you share about this game?
It's a bunch of mini games again.
You are just in. Don't forget to let us know who you are.
All set on Naboo. So there's 3 games here, and then you can switch to the Gungan world, and there's 3 games there.
Welcome to the city of Thebes.
Look at Anakin.
During the celebration.
And Jar Jar.
These are all very basic games.
Well, now that you said that, it's going to be pretty awkward if I can't finish one of them successfully.
I think you can do this one. You need to pick the Gungan that's going to throw the correct color to make the... Oh my gosh.
I did it! Wow.
This droid is up now. Here it is, the droid that needs painting. You need direct hit. Now on to the last one. Excellent.
It's a good thing that this is edited and not live streamed, because
Why is
then
that?
I can edit out the 10 hours of me trying to solve this puzzle.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to embarrass yourself.
This droid is up next. He needs some paint.
Look! I'm pretty good at this game.
It does get a little harder, I guess, because there's patterns you have to set.
That was exciting. Now what's
What other games do we have here?
Peter Madal has asked us to make music for a concert. It's really fun and...
You can change to different instruments and different patterns of keys and stuff by clicking the other buttons below, but there's not really much to this. It's not really a game so much as a...
It's a saxophone droid. It makes great music.
Actually, it's pretty nice. It transitions smoothly between the different sounds.
You picked the violin droid. That's great.
Okay, enough of that.
People of Thebes. Hi, I'm glad you're here to help with the puppet show. You get to make up stories, and then Jar Jar will perform them. Making up new stories.
This is basically Mad Libs.
Happy, Anakin found Jar Jar.
Anakin found
Then they danced quickly.
Anakin's story.
Played by lowercase d,
One day,
annual.
not too long ago, Anakin was happy.
Muy, muy.
Anakin found Jar Jar.
Woo-hoo! Muy, muy. Here you are.
I'm not gonna stick around till the end of the play. Thank you very much. And the last one is Willow, right?
This is just a random game, yes. So I originally wanted to support this in 3.0, and then it was copy protected using bad sectors on the floppy disk, and I don't have that level of floppy disk emulation in Dream. But then somebody recently discovered that a non-copy protected version was shipped on a compilation CD that came with one of the first... I'm trying to remember what was a special computer. It was like one of the first... It's not first laptops, first... I can't remember. Ventex or something like that. I have to look it up. But anyway, it was a kind of a unique computer, and it was one of the first computers that shipped with a CD-ROM drive. That's what it was. And so on the CD, they had licensed a ton of games, and one of the ones they licensed was Willow. And so I figured out how to bypass the copy protection on this in a way that was compatible with my thing there. Now, the one downside of this is it looks like it should support a mouse, and it should, but I have not yet been able to get the mouse controls to work, which is why there's a warning in the top.
Okay.
So you have to use a keyboard since you don't have a joystick. But this is much older than the previous game. And it only has PC speaker sound, so it's awful.
intro sounds like the Prince of Persia.
So use your keys to move that cursor around. It has this scroll with like all the story on it, and if you move it over to one of the words that are in bold, then that indicates a game that you can play.
In bold.
Keep going up. There you go. Ice caves. Go down to ice caves, and then press enter there.
Man, the 80s were wild.
So I'm guessing you need to go down some of those passages that came by you there. Oh, you stink. Typical game of the era. Or it's like you get one shot and that's it, then you're dead. It's like trying to play the...
no save games, no cheat codes. Okay, I can do this. I'm supposed to use the arrow keys, right?
I think so. I think that's what killed you the first time. You just didn't do it at the right time.
Oh, look at that.
There you go. Look at that. You turned.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wow.
I guess you had to turn before that. So I'm guessing you have to memorize your way through this maze of things until it seems very fun.
They don't give you any indication whether the next tunnel is going to be on the left side or the right side, and you don't have enough time to switch sides fast enough. So yeah, you have to memorize the game, just like every other 80s game.
Yes.
That you had to play numerous times until you memorized it, and that was that.
See, I didn't realize the connection between Willow and all the Lucas Learning games, but there's so many mini games. Everything's a bunch of mini games in this, in the new games, apparently.
Yeah. Wait, do I have Outlaws?
You have
here?
Outlaws already installed, yeah.
Yeah.
There he is.
Okay, so now we're gonna check out the network features. I'm not sure if I'll be able to.
You should be able to at least host a game, even if nobody connects to it. Oh,
okay.
You're gonna allow Dream to do that. So I do support. There's two types of networking. Some games support Windows sockets directly, which is like the lowest level of networking, and then most games support direct play, which is like a higher level of networking. So I actually emulate both. Windows sockets, because it's low level, and I'm just talking directly to your network adapter. That can actually connect to a real game. So I have actually connected an emulated running in Dream version of Outlaws to somebody running Outlaws on hardware and connected to their game. However, direct play will not work that way because the way Microsoft implemented direct play, there's a lot of details that were not well documented, and I didn't care to reverse engineer them that much. So I basically have my own implementation of direct play. So if you use direct play, you can play against other people running Dream, but you can't join games from people running on hardware. You want to use host game, not join game, because you're not going to be able to find a server.
Host game.
You get to choose which location and which game you want. What kind you want to be there. So now you're in the lobby. You can choose your character by clicking on the character, which is a menu you weren't clicking on the character there. You can choose which one you want to be.
Look at those animations.
I know.
It's 3D.
It's artwork you didn't get to see before because they didn't support the networking path.
Yeah.
Now you can enter the game. You don't have to wait for anybody. And now you can run around and you can see that's your status in the upper right. And if people join the game, then they can join you. But obviously, unless you have somebody else in your house with a computer on your same LAN to join the game, it's going to be a little hard.
I'll wake up my kids and ask them to play Outlaws with me.
I have run two computers, connected them in Outlaws, seen the other player run around and killed each other, by hand. So that level does work. But beyond that, I haven't really tested it, and I don't know how robust it is long term. I haven't really tested the direct play side more than basic verification that it tests and works. But
And when it comes to lag, do you have to handle it, or is it handled by the game itself?
Yeah, I'm relying on Outlaws to handle whatever lag I'm giving it. I'm trying not to give it any more lag than, real systems would have had. But yeah, some new maps for you to explore too. If you haven't, even if you're not actually playing a game, you can still check out these maps that they made for the multiplayer.
Yeah, but I have 0 enemies.
Yeah, it's nobody to shoot. You can use the Gatling gun now, though. You can get access to the rare Gatling gun.
Chicken. No, I can't.
It doesn't let you shoot the chicken?
No.
You should. And we totally should have had we should have given you fractions of a point for shooting chickens or something like that, because it was something really
fun. I remember playing Max Payne 2 for the first time and how exciting it was that you could actually shoot anything. Crates, the wall, mirrors, and you'd get feedback from you shooting random objects. It wasn't you didn't just get a bullet hole in it. The mirror would break, the chair would break.
You should try out the Gatling gun. I think you need 0, I think, as a Gatling gun. That's the rifle. Do you have the scope? If you press 3 again.
0?
Or maybe 9. 9 is the Gatling gun, I guess.
9. Wow.
You can't move, but you can. That's fun. You can throw dynamite too. If you use, I think 7 or 8. I can't remember which one.
7?
Yeah, there you go. You need to use the secondary fire, which is the Z key, to light it, and then you can throw it. And you actually had to time. You didn't throw it far enough away.
That's an odd choice. Everything else is 2D animation in the 2.5D engine, while the dynamite itself is
we made
a 3D object.
Yeah.
Why?
I think because we could. And, we had the support. I mean, Dark Forces had the support. You could see the ship fly away and stuff like that for 3D objects. And so we thought, let's incorporate some 3D objects there. But we thought the guns wouldn't look good enough in 3D. But the dynamite we decided we were okay with.
And which version of Outlaws do you need to play the multiplayer, to get the multiplayer features? You have to use the 2.0 from
1.0 supports
98.
it, but I think we did make a break in the networking where if you're on 2.0 you can't connect to a 1.0 game or vice versa. So I think you have to be on similar versions. I think all the 2.x versions can talk to each other over the network and they understand the protocol. But I think they changed it between 1.0 and 2.0.
Okay. This is the credit sequence for our conversation.
There you go. And I even wrote that. So.
Okay, any other games we want to showcase?
That's all the new games we did. Monopoly. Yeah, I have a list on the side here just to make sure we got them all. And we talked about all the new features that I wanted to talk about. And,
awesome.
So hopefully by the time this comes out, Dream will be done. But, it's kind of dragging on. It's been more than a year since 3.03 came out. That came out at the end of October of 2024.
And the expected release date for this one is December 2025?
I'm guessing it better be before the end of the year. I'm going to pull my hair out because I kind of want to move on to some other things. But I've also been kept busy with some commercial side projects and stuff. So I don't know if we didn't talk about this last time, but I've been working with Digital Eclipse, and they released Tetris Forever last year. And the engine that runs the DOS versions of Tetris in there is based on Dream. So I'm actually... So if you go and run that, they don't advertise it directly, but under the covers, it's integrated into their system. And so
they licensed it from you?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was exciting. I was happy to see my work in a commercial project, and I've been having conversations with them again, so who knows? Maybe my stuff will show up in some future projects from them too.
And why did they think that the Dream could run this? I mean, it's advertised as a mainly LucasArts emulator.
Well, I'd had chats with some of the people there. I mean, I know a few of the folks over there, and I'd mentioned that I had this engine that was it's a generic DOS machine and a generic Windows machine, but more of a generic DOS machine. I was willing to work with them to integrate it into help them integrate it into their, because they have like a conglomeration library of all their different emulators that they use for different purposes. If you look at a lot of their titles, they run a lot of emulated games from different consoles and things like that. So this is really like the first computer system emulator they tried to do, and that presents unique challenges. For example, like on consoles, you don't have to worry about hard disks, and if you've written to things, so they're all like, you can save the state of a console very easily because there's no like permanent data storage. Whereas like on something like Dream, if the game writes to the hard disk and you save the state, you also have to save the state of the hard disk changes that they made, because if you like want to go back to that state, it needs the files on the hard disk need to match what the game's expecting to be live there. And so that was sort of a new wrinkle that's there. I actually had to add some save state support in Dream, so that you could implement some features that they wanted. It's not exposed right now, but under the covers, I can do some limited save states. I think it's in an environment like they have for Tetris Forever, where they control the whole environment and the installation and everything. That's more practical. In an environment like this, where you can install the games and run them, and access the files that are modified and that kind of thing, it becomes a lot more complicated for how you would handle a save state in that environment. And so I haven't actually exposed that, even though I can save the state of DOS systems anyway on Dream under the covers.
So with this
maybe
project,
in the future.
So with this project, you move beyond the realm of LucasArts games. So how about implementing non-LucasArts games into Dream officially?
It's going to happen, I'm sure. I need to figure out the right direction to go. Part of it is, I pick another company and I start to do their games, or maybe I open up the description language that I have that describes, what files are needed and how to handle an installation, and just let other people externally submit, like, hey, here's support for Dream for this game that I love, and I've written this support file for it. So that's part of why I've been, developing things like a more robust scripting language and other things to handle stuff. So because for some games, they may need some tweaks or adjustments in order to run in this environment. Yeah, I'm working up to supporting other things eventually. I'm just not quite sure what direction it'll go. I have some favorite games from when I was growing up that I think would be kind of cool to pick a series, like the Ultima series or something, or, Diablo or something like that. That could be kind of fun. But I kind of want to pick something that is actually hard to run on other emulators right now. And so, the sweet spot for that is probably like early Win9X games or Windows 3.1 games. But unfortunately, that will require a lot of work on my part, because I can tell just from random sampling that every new game in that category I run, I'm going to have to do a bunch of work to implement stuff I haven't implemented yet, just because implementing all of Windows would have taken me years and years and years. So obviously, I only implement the stuff that the games I want to run have used. And so every new game introduces some new stuff that hasn't been touched yet that I have to implement, and it's not always so easy. Whereas like DOS is a more tractable solution. I can say that I've implemented most of DOS, and I can get a lot of DOS stuff to run just out of the box without having to modify Dream any further than what I've already got implemented. So, and I've actually been beefing up some of the emulation in Dream. For example, the VGA emulation in Dream is better than it was in 3.0, and that it's done at the scanline level instead of the full screen level. And that allows for more effects. I had a big hack in 3.0 to support Master Blazer, which does some very tricky effects on a per scanline basis to create this kind of a background that's got this very nice gradient of colors in there. And in 4.0, the way I redid VGA emulation to support scanline rendering is I don't have to do any hacks to make that work. It just works out of the box without any special features. And I also improved the SVGA emulation, so games that actually have SVGA support to run at higher resolutions do so in a more period accurate way, I would say, based on what the S3 Trio 64 video card did, which is sort of the standard. Most emulators emulate that as a baseline for SVGA. When I worked on Virtual PC for ConnectX, that was our standard video card, and I see it kind of used everywhere as sort of a baseline SVGA card that's pre 3D graphics, but has a 2D accelerator on it, and it supports video modes up to 1600 by 1200 and 4 megs of video RAM. And now all that's done much more accurately under the covers. It doesn't really affect any of the games that are running now, but it does affect games that I might want to try running there. And actually, if you do want to experiment, especially with DOS games, if you have an installation of a DOS game on your computer, there's a command line now that you can use, dream-launch. And if you point it to the executable for that game, it'll try to run the game in a DOS environment. It may not be a great experience because I haven't really tested it very broadly, but it does allow me to run like benchmarks and other tests to help me verify that Dream's DOS and video simulation are accurate. So that's been kind of nice. But I decided to leave it exposed. If people want to play around with it, they can.
Do you still have any LucasArts games on your bucket list that you want to implement, or are you done with LucasArts for now?
I want to do, like I said, I kind of want to do the rest of the games up until they start requiring pixel shaders. So I want to take a look at Emperor's Tomb and see if it requires it. I think there's a couple like Starfighter might be okay to run. Star Wars Starfighter, which was another Episode 1 era game. There's a couple more early 2000, like 2000, 2001 games that I might still be able to run. And that's just the completist in me. I'm always a completist. So I was like, if I have a category, I want to get everything in that category running if I can. And so, but I know those are going to be kind of painful to get running just because they are Windows games and they're probably going to hit some features that I haven't implemented yet. I'm going to have to go implement a whole bunch of new stuff. So that's fun, but it's just a little daunting.
So these will be implemented in Dream 5? Or
I don't know. Who knows what Dream 5 is going to look like?
Future betas of Dream 4?
Yeah. In the past, I've sometimes, like, if I'm just adding a few games, like if there's just like 3 or 4 games I want to add, that could be like a 4.1 or something like that. If I make any kind of major changes, then it might be a Dream 5. Who knows? Not quite sure where that's going to land. I'm very much of a make my way by feel kind of programmer. If I see something interesting, I go implement it. And if it becomes useful for some feature, then I hook it up and start taking advantage of it. And then when I take a step back and look at it, I'm like, does this look like a 4.1 or a 5.0 release? That's kind of how I decide. So
the links to download Dream will be in the description of this video, as well as the link to the beta page.
Right.
Because that's where you get the in-between versions. So for now, we have version 4 beta 24 that's available. But how soon, I remember that after Dream 3 came out, then the beta page was shut down for like a few months before you actually started working on version 4. So
the beta page will be shut down, like you said, once I stop doing betas for a little while. And usually while it's shut down, I'm actually doing alphas. So there is a Discord for Dream if you're really into it and want to have access to things like early alpha releases and want to, help find bugs and report bugs and everything like that. I do have a Discord, which I can send you the link, Daniel, to put on the description.
I'll add that to the description as well.
Yeah. So we can do that. It's not a huge Discord, which to my mind is good. I'm a little nervous when I put them out publicly that there's going to be a giant influx, but actually the number of people using Dream is relatively small. So I'm kind of hoping that it'll keep to be a smaller personal group of folks who are actually into the LucasArts games and into actually reporting issues and helping me fix bugs, track them down.
Awesome. Well, this has been fantastic, Aaron. Thank you again for working on this emulator. It's been my favorite emulator for the past couple of years. I've been using it for all of my LucasArts games, and I also played Infernal Machine with Hal Barwood, and we always used Dream, and we got and he is now a fan of Dream, and I think he also posted a link Dream on his website.
Nice.
Because he didn't like the way that Infernal Machine ran back in the GOG days when it used the Windows compatibility settings, which were pretty sucky.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you for showcasing these new games, and thank you for working on Dream.
Well, thanks for doing the interview. It's always fun to get a good chance to show off the new stuff and do some interesting games, even if a lot of them were, kids' games that were too challenging for you. So.
Well, we'll have another conversation when Dream 5 comes out, and hopefully it will have Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb. Then we'll do a special conversation just to focus on this game, and then the other games.
Well, I've never played it, so it's one of the reasons I think it would be kind of fun to get it up and running, is to actually see what it looks like.
It has the best fighting system ever released in the game, and it's still one of the best ones. So you should try it out.
All right. Well, I'll give it a shot.
Thank you, Aaron.
All right. Thank you.